Hello, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. I am Patrick Knisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
I'm David Howe.
And we have a special guest with us.
Leif Steenson.
Hey, what's up, Leif Steenson? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
First time guest on this podcast, and as I understand, any podcast.
Yep, it's my first time on any podcast.
Wow, hell yeah, don't fuck up, all right?
I'm preparing for my instant celebrity.
Yeah.
That's how it works. You get on one podcast, and then you're a superstar.
Yeah.
Everybody doing all right today? We had a good week.
Yeah. Happy to be
Labor
here
Day.
for the 31st episode.
This is episode 31.
Very good, episode 31. Yeah, it was a good Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day.
You guys do anything for Labor Day?
Nothing special.
I played the reason that we're recording this podcast.
It's an interesting name for a game.
Yeah. Oh, Astral Chain.
Yeah.
I did the same.
Yeah.
We also played Man of Medan. I can't figure out if it's Medan or Medan. Yeah.
We'll dive all into that at the end of the episode.
Yeah, a couple quick shout-outs. Last week, episode 30, we talked about dormant or dead Nintendo franchises that we want to see again. Quick shout-out, Austin Young is the person who suggested we talk about that. And then Lee Howson replied on Facebook that they want that the IP they want resurrected is Pokemon Snap. 100% Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
That's no doubt there for Lee.
That's 100% Snap.
And then
Like
Matt,
we should have a mobile Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, you brought that up on the thread, and I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, it seems like it would integrate really well with Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Probably be way better than Pokemon Masters too. Heyo.
Hey. Yeah.
And then, Matt, you were talking to somebody on Twitter. Another shout out?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Twitter user AntKeepGaming. You messaged us, and I replied because we started talking about Mischief Makers, which is an N64 game by
One of the few 2D
Treasure.
N64 games.
Treasure. Yeah.
That's right, Treasure.
That's an incredible game. I rented it about 4 times.
Me
I feel
too.
like, from Blockbuster.
Me too.
It was like the Treasure was just on a roll, and that was such an underappreciated game.
That was one of the only N64 games to actually use the D-pad.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's one of the only 2D games for
Yeah.
the N64.
Yeah, it's like
a
that
handful.
Yoshi story or something.
The like grab mechanic in that game was so satisfying.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
You could let all of the enemies, all the bosses. But Twitter user and Keep Gaming and I speculated that we want Maria from Mischief Makers as a Smash
Oh
announcement.
man, that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
I tweeted at Treasure. I got nothing, but I'm really
Hey,
I'm fishing
sometimes
for it.
silence is the best clue.
Oh yeah. All right, let the speculation
We also
begin.
in that same thread where we posted the topic from last week, we got a lot of people talking about Eternal Darkness, which we kind of touched on slightly, but that's definitely something that needs to come back. That's an IP that needs to come back.
Silicon Knights went out of business, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure someone's around that can do a spiritual successor or something to that game.
It's such a great idea
Yeah.
that someone just has to be shamelessly ripping it off at least.
Yeah, I agree. But what are we talking about this week?
So we've got this week we're mostly talking about Astral Chain.
That's right.
That's our main topic for the week. We've also got lots of great news and rumors going on about, hey, there's a Nintendo Direct announced. Lots of game release information we'll go over and a little bit of Smash stuff, and that's what we'll start with. So in Famitsu, Sakurai's latest column was talking about Smash Ultimate and about that presentation for the hero that he did, and it turns out that little joke he made about them not having much of a budget for it was kind of true, according to him. So it wasn't just a joke. I guess that he did it so that they wouldn't have to pay for somebody to edit, or I guess for a more complex video where it would be edited, it just could be shot with him just in it. And he also talked about how he pushed through his hand pain to do the multiple controllers at once.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I guess he was didn't think he did a very good job as well on it. But
You did great.
Well, I tell you this, Masahiro, I know you're listening right now. You should have just called me. I would have flown out there on my own dime and filmed that for you and put out a whole package for you for nothing. Okay? There's a lot of people that would do that. myself especially.
I also just like, it makes me wonder like how much money does the DLC make for them to, feel like they can't do a more substantial video.
Yeah.
I feel like he might have been trying to tap in, if he admits it or not, into the more like casual style of YouTube video.
Sure. Yeah.
And live streaming of things and that kind of thing. He said that.
Yeah.
He's like, this is like a stream-like version.
Yeah, whether I didn't watch it, so I don't I can't actually.
You're on the money there.
Yeah. That's kind of what I watched a few minutes of it, and then I was like, I see what he's trying to do here. But
it was fun and cash, and it's nice to see like people like the brass at Nintendo, like in one way or another, like outside of their just normal like PR element. You know what I mean? So that was kind of enjoyable, but hit me up, dude. I know Premiere, I know After Effects. I can make you a nice video package.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the next one will be like. We'll see. Speaking of the next one, well, not the next one, but maybe the one after that, there's been some potential Smash leaks, which we'll talk briefly about. So there's a YouTuber, I Am Shifty, who said they have a source that the next Smash DLC
Spoilers,
character...
just in case.
Spoiler, yeah, if in case any of these turn out to be true and aren't announced officially shortly after
today or tomorrow.
The release.
Whenever you're listening to this.
By the time you hear that.
Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden is what I Am Shifty says has a source that told him is the next character. And then shortly thereafter, somebody found that there is an SNK copyright listed under the Smash DLC on the website, I think for the fourth character, or maybe just a general listing. I couldn't quite tell.
Sure.
Because it got taken down. And there's been some back and forth about this one because the file size is the same as like the SNK Heroines DLC character.
Right. A lot of people are thinking that it might just be a mishap.
But it turns out the file size is the same for Joker as well, apparently. I tried to like verify this, and apparently that's the same file size, some people are saying, for all these DLC characters.
Right.
So
regardless of game, apparently.
Oh yeah, at least in these two games, it's just like a weird coincidence. I don't know.
To me, I mean, obviously, we'll probably find out tomorrow. We're recording on Tuesday night.
Right.
But it's like an SNK DLC character makes more sense for SNK Heroines than it does for Smash to me, honestly. Like SNK has been a fighting game series for forever.
Yeah, they've got a ton of different fighting games.
Yeah, so it wouldn't like surprise me, but it doesn't seem like necessarily something that would be in Smash. Obviously like Terry is like what everybody's talking about. And
and there's
actually
a Samurai Showdown, a new Samurai Showdown coming out in October. And there's a girl,
for the Switch.
A girl in that as another person I keep hearing talked about by potential leakers as well.
I'm really pulling for any Metal Slug.
I was just about to say that they'd really fit in well.
I think Metal Slug would be way more interesting than Terry.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
I think that would be a more popular choice in the West, probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I think SNK, all these fighting games are real popular in Japan, maybe. I don't really know, but I don't know much about them because it's not something I guess they're on like a lot of old arcade cabinets too.
Yeah, it's kind of a direct competitor to like the
SNK.
Capcom Street Fighter games back in the day. So it's like it's definitely something that I feel like has never. It's kind of like Dragon Quest 11, right? Like that would be like that wasn't ever. It was always way more Final Fantasy here than
that's
it was.
why I think it might be true.
All right, yeah, maybe. Yeah. We'll see. There was that leak a while ago that did list Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden and also said Doom Guy. For the fifth one. But I don't know. I'm very interested to see what the Smash DLC is going to be.
I think it's also likely we will hear a more specific window for Banjo, but David, you added a note here that I don't really know much about. Something about an ad. You want to tell us about that?
So there's like these pop-up ads that like happened, like big cardboard like pop-up ads that come up in 7-Elevens in Japan. And before it was like they're up for like 15 days, and it even says on the ad when you're supposed to take it down, right? Like whatever, it's for the employees to take it down by a certain point. Whenever Hero came out, it was up like I think 20 days or something before that came up, and then now there is a Banjo ad up in 7-Elevens in Japan. Gotcha. Basically. And so it's like, if it follows the same pattern, then we should be seeing Banjo like sometime before the 15th, I think, is what everybody's basically saying. So like, maybe it's not following a pattern, and maybe it's just saying it's for the future. It does seem awful early. I mean, he said that it was coming out in fall, and I think like fall is at the end of September. So it's like, it's a little weird, but I mean, again, I think we'll be hearing a lot more about this when we see the direct. But it's like, It was just very interesting that popped up, and it's kind of following that same pattern already. And also, 7-Elevens in Japan sound way cooler than 7-Elevens here.
No kidding. They got big, giant ads.
Yeah. I will say I've been to a 7-Eleven in Stockholm, Sweden. Also way better than 7-Elevens here.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, did
They had like a bar.
Did they have banjo ads?
They did have banjo ads, but it was for the N64. They got the N64 late in Sweden.
Yes.
It's like going to McDonald's in another country too. They're not a lot nicer.
Yeah. Well, the McDonald's in Sweden was tight too.
Yeah.
They had a burger called the El Maco.
El Maco, what is on it?
It was just a Big Mac with sour cream on it. It was disgusting.
Oh, what?
Well, so like we were just alluding to, it's very likely that we will know more about this because Nintendo announced today on September 3rd that there will be a Nintendo Direct on September 4th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Not going to do it. Okay.
11.
11 Greenwich Mean Time? Okay.
Yeah. Or
Thanks, Dave.
2,300 hours.
23. Oh, 2300.
So the official description says roughly 40 minutes of information focused on 2019 Nintendo Switch games, including Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield and Luigi's Mansion 3. So I think that means we can expect 2 big dedicated chunks to those games.
Yeah, I'd
like
imagine
probably
so.
a 10-ish minutes each of those games, which leaves us with 20 minutes unaccounted for.
Something like that, yeah.
Probably we'll see that Smash release window for Banjo, maybe the next Smash character. And we want to go around the circle real quick, just say what, I mean, so this is, our episode should, fingers crossed, come out a handful of hours plus before this.
Right. So hopefully you're listening to this at like 11 a.m.
Yeah. So hopefully you're listening to this before
Hopefully,
Nintendo Direct.
and thank you.
But if not, we won't spend too much time on this, and you'll be able to laugh or congratulate us.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to see. I'll just go first. I want a Mario Maker 2 update because I'm obsessed with Mario Maker 2.
Okay, yeah.
I want that Friends update plus like some additional unexpected things like
styles?
the extra style or a few extra
So
items.
is this your like legitimate prediction or your Hail Mary?
I think there's a good chance for it.
Yeah,
But it's what I want.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
what I want.
Yeah, no, I would like that too.
And then I guess if I'm throwing a Hail Mary out there, I think we definitely are going to see, even though they say 2019, I think we're going to see at least a couple games for 2020. Like maybe their first thing and their last thing will maybe be January, February kind of stuff.
If you had to put a name to one of those games, what would it be?
I want it. My Hail Mary is F-Zero because we talked about it last week. That's
Sure.
the game I want. And I want it to be a bounty hunter game for David's sake.
Did y'all ever play F-Zero GX?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
GameCube.
Didn't in that single player mode, he was like, I'm going to go bounty hunt, and he like chases someone.
Oh
It was,
my
like,
God.
A weird, like story.
See?
I don't remember.
It has like very vague story elements to it. Where
Well, there's an anime too, right?
And there's the anime.
and it got like way more into like his personal life and his
Yeah.
bounties
Oh, and they're
shit like
about to
that.
in the new one too.
oh yeah,
Patrick has insider information, and he knows everything that's happening. You know what? Fuck it. At this point, I will take a Star Fox Adventure style F-Zero game. Okay, I will do it as long as they give me a game with that title. I am okay.
Well, and the racing will be there too.
it could be like a Grand Theft Auto, but you're like every place is like 500,000 miles away.
That would be pretty cool.
You have to drive at 100 miles.
They should make an F-Zero game that's like Driver San Francisco.
Well, what do you guys want to throw for your...
Two things. I think we'll maybe get some Pokemon news and DLC possibility. Maybe some Labo interactions with Pokemon,
Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
that's a good
like
idea.
VR stuff.
That would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Hail Mary. It'll be 1 year since they first announced town.
Oh, really?
So let's get the fucking Little Town Hero.
Little Town Hero.
Little
yeah.
Town Hero January release date.
Yeah.
So
2019.
So it's funny you say that because Town or Little Town Hero is my safe bet. I really
you
feel
think
like
so?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
a
a January
20,
release, January, February at the latest for Little Town Hero. But I think they're gonna blow the doors off of it, especially because they just recently had that trademark. And so I think we're definitely going to be seeing Town in this direct.
Well, that would be a year that we've been doing this podcast, which means we're going to no longer be Super Switch Heads, but Super Little Town
Mega
Hero
Switch
Heads.
Super Little Town Hero.
Little Town Hero
we'll
Heads.
be Super Little Town Hero Z.
I think also what we'll talk about Shovel Knight just in a little bit, but in the direct we'll also hear from those Amiibo release dates.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, since you said Little Town Hero, I'm going to change my safe bet to I'd love to see another Castlevania collection. They kind of alluded to it in the first one that this is like the first Castlevania collection that's coming out. And I want those fucking Game Boy Advance games on my Switch. So I would love that. I think another safe bet, obviously, is the SNES online games.
Yeah.
Like those have got to come, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I feel that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
SNES Timber.
Yeah, it'll be SNES Temper. And we'll be Super SNES Heads. And I think then my kind of Hail Mary, I think going back to Konami, I'd love to see some remasters or re-releases of the Metal Gear Solid games. I think like a remake of the first one, or just like, even if they just brought Snake Eater out, like that had a 3DS port. Like they could just bring that 3DS port to the Switch.
Dude, Snake Eater is so good.
Yeah, Snake Eater's great. It's like some sort of collection or like HD remaster. I would hop on that in a fucking heartbeat.
That would be very cool.
Yeah. So and Konami seems to be a little bit back on a roll. So they're kind of, doing, at least for re-releasing old games.
Right.
So it's like, let's follow that pattern. I'd love to see some of that. What about you, Leif?
I feel like the Overwatch rumor seems very plausible to me. I don't know if I want to say it's a safe bet, but you've seen Warframe. I feel like they're trying to make that work on the Switch. And I didn't love Overwatch, but Switch does a good job at making me play games that I wouldn't necessarily play anyway. You guys kind of said the ones that I thought. I have a million like Hail Marys. Like
hit us with at least one of them.
Well, the Prime trilogy would be great. I feel like I don't know if they're going to wait until Prime 4 closer to that, whenever that happens.
I hope not. I feel like it's like 4 years away.
I'm always getting Mother 3 just to hate myself, My personal would be if they announced more Deltarune.
Oh, okay, right.
Because I just played Undertale for the first time on the Switch relatively recently and got... I know that's not going to happen because I think he hasn't been... Did y'all play Deltarune?
I did not play... I played Undertale. I did not play Deltarune yet. So you've played the first episode or whatever of it?
Yeah. And I just... I'm such a fan of that guy.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that, but otherwise, I hope that they say something about Animal Crossing, but I'm not really expecting too much. Maybe they'll pop in for a second.
Yeah, I feel like we'll see that around the January Direct because that's coming out in March. I think they'll kind of blow the lid off that one as well. What do you think about Sans for Smash?
I don't think that's likely. I feel
I
like
don't think so.
I feel like he's too protective of his intellectual property.
Really? You think so?
I mean, it's possible, but
Nintendo loves him.
I know. Well, maybe it would be super cool. I don't know if I necessarily want that.
Yeah.
Well, that game was just really made me. I'm sure this is a cliche. Like, there's even that Reddit that's like making fun of people who felt so like in love with Undertale when they play it, like their bad art or whatever. But I really that was one of the first games in a long time that really like made me feel emotional with how like well done the writing was.
Sure, it is relatable in a lot of ways.
The self-referencing elements of it and the fourth wall breaking, I thought was, and just the music was incredible.
Oh yeah,
This is the Undertale pod.
Yeah. Super Undertale.
So to move on, any other things for the Direct? I mean, we talked about this before we started recording. With it being a year from the Nintendo Switch Online launch, maybe there could be some updates to that beyond just the Super Nintendo games.
Yeah. Well,
that
I
would
think
be great, but I don't think it's likely.
So you're talking like voice chat or some sort of messaging system,
or some UI updates or something.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen at this point. I want it to.
So.
Yeah. I really want it to, and this would be the time to do it if they are going to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck. I don't know. I think that if they did, so this is another question I wanted to pose to you guys about the Direct and Nintendo Switch Online in particular, is say they do add these SNES games, do they add another pricing tier to this?
I hope not. And I really think that would just piss people off. I'm not saying people wouldn't buy it and that we wouldn't all just move on, but they sell those cards for $20, that cost $20 and they're printed and they say $20 1 year online.
Yeah.
It just feels so wrong for them to do that and not just give us more stuff as being a benefit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, $20 a year for like a shit ton of Super Nintendo games is a really good deal. You know,
but
so it's
I could see them doing it, but I really hope they don't, because I also just don't want to hear everybody complain about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll get Tetris 100.
Something like that's possible too.
Yeah.
1 cent extra.
Yeah, we just one additional player.
We better move on though. Just to breeze through these. Got a couple game announcement things we want to go through real quick. Yacht Club Games did a little presentation that's kind of like a Nintendo Direct. They called it Yacht Club Games Presents. They did it on August 28th. And sort of the big thing out of that is a new Shovel Knight game, Shovel Knight Dig.
Looks great.
It does look good.
Sort of like platforming meets digging.
Yeah, it's a roguelike, as I understand it as well.
I don't
think
know
it's
a lot about it.
semi-roguelike.
Right,
it has linear stuff going on, but the levels themselves have slightly procedurally generated.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what's that arcade game like? Mr. Digger?
Dig Dug.
Dig Dug?
Mr. Driller?
Mr. Driller. Mr. Driller.
Right.
Yeah. That's the one. I love Mr. Driller.
Yeah. I think the roguelike elements actually interested me for that style of game. It reminded me of like a roguelike SteamWorld Dig. You know what I mean? So that's cool. And then we're finally getting some King of Cards.
Yeah, the last DLC for Treasure Trove, I think, like you said, King of Cards, and Showdown.
Yeah, they have like a Smash-like now as well.
Yeah, I guess that's all coming to the Treasure Trove, which if you own, I don't know if that's additional money or if it just is free.
No, you get it for free if you own the Trove. Yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't really watch the rest of the presentation. Was there anything else that
There's a new Amiibo 3-pack.
Oh, right,
Plague
that's the
Knight,
big one.
Spectre Knight, and King Knight.
So,
well, we can trust on indies to keep Amiibos going.
and Smash, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, the Amiibo, we could talk about that for a long time. So
We already have.
Then there's a new Persona 5 Scramble teaser, and they said that more info is coming out on October 24th, the Persona game that very few of us out there want. That's coming to the Switch, and I don't know that they've even...
that was a very cash burn there.
Yeah. That has to happen, right? There has to be some like financial or like strategic reasons
I think
why
there
they
was
haven't
actually something that either Sony or Atlas said about how it's really important to like they said it's an exclusive without saying it's an exclusive.
It's like some backroom deal with Sony to keep it on
I think there
PlayStation.
is some sort of that the mainline Persona games are virtually Sony exclusives.
I have one word to say to that, and it's yuck.
It's so cruel.
I have one word to say to that, and that's ooey.
So,
Rule of 3 is dead. Let's let
2
it
syllables is grosser than 1.
of great importance to me, and what I'm very excited about is Untitled Goose Game got a release date of September 20th. So that's very soon. Same day Link's Awakening, same day Switch Lite. So that's cool.
Should we do a whole episode on Goose Game when it comes out?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this:
Get a goose as the
we'll talk about this
fourth
later,
guest.
actually. But because we've been like this Astral Chain, like I just love Mario Maker, y'all. That's all
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
play right now.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know that I'll be able to play Untitled Goose Game in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Also, PAX West happened, and I guess Risk of Rain too. And what's this other game? I don't even know what this is.
Bulletstorm. Yeah, it's. I actually don't even remember who published this game. It was
But
from
they
a while
got
ago.
released at PAX.
Yeah. It was like a FPS from a while ago that was like. It was very fun. It's like I played it on PC like several years ago, and it's like a very fast paced, almost kind of like Duke Nukem Doom style, like kind of going back to the almost arena style shooter, but with like a fun story. And it's it's just like a really good looking first person shooter game that just randomly got dropped on the Switch.
And Risk of Rain 2 we knew about, but we didn't know a release date.
We didn't know a release date, and they basically at PAX West they were like, "Hey, Risk of Rain 2 and Bulletstorm." They were just two totally random things, but Bulletstorm seems to run great. So if you're looking for another FPS fix on the Switch, check it out.
Bulletstorm by Epic, and
That's right, Epic.
And People Can Fly. People Can Fly has done like some ports of Gears of War.
Is that a pre-Fortnite game, Bulletstorm?
Yeah. It was like
Interesting.
6 or 7 years ago that it came out, I think. But fun game if you're looking for
2011.
first-person shooters. Yeah, there you go.
And then, David, you want to talk about this last one? I know a little bit about it. I think I read a little bit today about Astral Chain's review getting tanked by people that want it on the PlayStation, or something like that.
I don't know if you guys. I just thought this would be an interesting thing for us to discuss.
And then lead into
Astral Chain just got review bombed, which is if you guys don't know what that means, it basically, on websites like Metacritic or like even Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of times, usually angry, lonely males will be going to these websites because they have some sort of agenda they're trying to push.
Yeah,
and so they go to like the review scores. Yeah, Captain Marvel got review bombed.
Female superhero movie.
The new Star Wars movies really got review bombed. And pretty much any movie that's starring a woman usually gets review bombed.
It's terrible.
But it's like, I think for Astral Chain, I think it was a lot of the people that were giving it like 0 out of 10s on Metacritic were basically just being like, they had handles that was like PS4 Kid 97 or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's usually, I think what it is, it's just a lot of people that were butthurt about this game, like not coming out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
Weird.
It's and I get that, and I mean I don't get review bombing. I think that's a pointless endeavor. But like I get being upset that it's not on your platform, especially if you're a Platinum fan, because like Nier Automata is like not on Switch and it's on all the other platforms, and so it's like, yeah, I get if you're a fan of the developer and you want to see their games, but man, review bombing is just the stupidest shit of the modern era. It makes no fucking sense.
And is it Kamiya, the guy over at Platinum Games?
Yeah, Hideki Kamiya, yeah.
That on Twitter he said something to the effect of, "Well, Nintendo paid for it."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, take it up with Nintendo.
Yeah.
They wrote our checks.
Yeah, they're the ones that like came up with some of the, or like paid for it and published it. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you don't see Nintendo fanboys like being like, "Where the fuck is Last of Us on Switch?" You know what I mean? Like,
let's be careful. I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, well, whatever.
And even if you're Platinum Games, Nintendo, like the most respected video game company in the world, comes to you and be like, "Hey, we like your art. We'll give you this large sum of money to make a game for our system. Will you do it?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course we will."
Yeah, exactly.
And that game has the Nintendo magic to it.
Yeah.
Like, even more than like Bayonetta 2 did, which was also Nintendo exclusive. It's just the
right.
Well, we'll obviously get into it later.
To that end, I think we should take a real quick break.
Sure.
And then we'll launch into that.
Astral Chain.
There
Astral
some
Chain.
things we can talk about in terms of and lead in, like you were just talking about.
Hashtag chain talk.
We'll be right
Chain,
back.
hashtag chain life.
All right, so we're back, and we're talking about Astral Chain. And right before we went off, you were talking about that Nintendo polish. And there was Famitsu published an interview with some of the developers, and they talked about how Nintendo did have like some say in some of this. Like there were some particular things, so that's true. I think originally the game had like more legions, and they were like, you should focus on fewer with more quality over quantity. Kind of thing.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. So just to be real quick, we're talking about Astral Chain, the big new IP that came out from Platinum Games, Switch exclusive. It released on Friday, August 30th, and all of us have played it a little bit, and we're going to spend the next big chunk of time kind of talking about it.
Yeah, maybe we should give like a little bit of a background on Platinum as well, and like the kind of game that this is. And we touched on this a little bit as well, but like Platinum has, they've done Nier Automata, they've done the Bayonetta series. Beautiful Joe, is that correct? Or is that Capcom?
Well, they started as Grasshopper Studios back in the aughts, and they made Okami, right?
I love Okami.
And Beautiful Joe.
That's right. Yeah,
there was a subsidiary of Capcom.
They were.
Clover. Mm-hmm. Is that the name of them?
I forget. Capcom have the rights to Beautiful Joe, though, right?
Yeah,
they do. Yeah, and that's why there hasn't been one since that generation.
Exactly. Yeah, but then Platinum also did Wonderful 101 for the Wii U, which was well received, but just nobody played it.
They made some amazing that I haven't played, but I hear Transformer Devastation is a great game.
No, I have not played it.
I played Transformers Devastation.
Yeah. Is that what it's called, Devastation?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I played it online, and it's very fun.
Yeah.
Like the transforming is very satisfying.
It's weird. It feels good to transform.
It feels fucking good.
We all got really close to the mic on that one.
I should have been more prepared, but I know that one of the designers who works on this game, or like Grasshopper, was created by one of the people who did Devil May Cry.
Right, yeah.
And that's where the whole like aesthetic of Platinum Games, I feel like, showed up was in that game.
Sure, and the aesthetic and the kind of main gameplay elements, which is kind of what I wanted to bring this up for, is like Platinum are known for their like just action games, right? And they're like heavy on satisfying combat, heavy on the fighting. You know what I mean? Like if you've played Bayonetta at all, you know their style of game, right? And that's why this game is so interesting. Astral Chain is because it feels like a little bit of a departure from that, right?
Well, it has incredible action.
Sure.
It's very interesting. I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest, but we can get into that. But they do add this really wonderful element, RP, like exploration and
sort of like investigation, crime scene kind of stuff.
It's a really unique game because it seems about half of the time for unlike what you might expect for a platinum game, you're in the police headquarters, you're talking to people, you're doing side quests that are mostly just like, like fetch quests or you get to know people.
They're like finding a graffiti artist or something. Yeah.
And then the police elements, you do things like, there's a level where I picked up like 50 cans off the ground and threw them in the recycling and you get points for each can, or like you find a person who's hurt and you slowly drag them to safety with your arm around their side, and just all these, wholesome police stuff.
But it's pacing wise, it feels very different from like Bayonetta, right? Which is just like nonstop.
You've got some nice long action sequence, and then you've got the part where you're back at, or you've got the investigation preceding it, or then you've got these little side quests to break it up.
And this is probably the only game that I'll play where I play a cop, because I don't particularly care for cops.
I'd love to get into the like wholesome cop element.
Yeah.
I think we should start, for me, with like sort of the opening sequence and the visuals, because I think this game looks so amazing on the Switch, and I think that opening sequence is like a really cool cinematic that sets the story up, and you get to shoot from a motorcycle.
Yeah,
and
really
like
cool.
there's some different things that, at least I haven't gotten super deep in the game, but I think they're unique to the opening sequence.
I'm on chapter 5, and there's been no more motorcycle action.
I think that was just
I
a
keep
little
seeing
fun.
them in the garage, so they won't let me ride
It was just a little fun thing to do during the credits, because I don't think you could get hurt or anything, but it was really cool. It was just a nice
fun.
little opening.
Circling back, the person who did the character designs was manga artist Masakazu Katsura. So he's done the following mangas. Let me click on this link. He's done Wingman, Shadow Lady, DNA 2, Video Game Girl AI, Eyes, and Setman.
And so it's got a really cool anime.
Yeah,
vibe.
Sure.
I think that's why it feels like a different game, because we have all these different we have a director, and we have a person who like produced it, and a manga character designer.
Sure.
So it feels like very robust.
And it's got this like wonderful world. Like talking about the opening of the game is like they decided to do like this kind of cyberpunk, almost like kind of Blade Runner setting. I think the
dystopian kind of.
The game takes place on a man-made island called the Ark,
which is the only thing that's left for humanity to live on.
Right. Like all the animals are extinct, and like
except for cats.
Except for cats and some dogs,
anthropomorphic dogs.
Exactly.
Creatures. That...
cats would be the most resilient animal and survive the apocalypse. But like just the setting and story alone, I feel like kind of make this game worth playing. Like I'm a big sucker for like cyberpunk aesthetic and stuff like that. And a lot of it, especially the kind of investigation stuff, kind of reminds me of like Deus Ex, and like especially visually, it kind of reminds me of that. So it's. And this is an original IP, which is something that we shouldn't drop as well. It's like very rare to see brand new intellectual property these days, and like
it's this big.
It's this big.
Awesome.
And like really feels like it nails the scope of it, like right off the bat.
I think it's fair to point out that the director of the game, the lead directed Nier Automata, which I feel like it sort of follows in that game's footsteps, which has also incredible world building and
like also
RPG elements,
right?
And post-apocalyptic. That's one of my favorite games I've ever played, and which got me especially hyped for this game.
Right.
Interesting tidbit from that Famitsu article too. Apparently, this game has been in development since before Nier Automata. So that's
crazy.
So they've been working on this for
in the
5+
Wii U days.
years or whatever.
And it shows, because the level of polish in the game, I think that's what that Nintendo magic is about. It's just like how like none of the gameplay elements ever feel arbitrary or frustrating. I mean, I'll get into combat things that I found were frustrating, but the level of like forethought that went into the design of the levels. It's just all so Nintendo to me.
Yeah, I think so. It's that old mantra of like, you can delay a game as long as you want, but a rushed game like is bad forever. You know what I mean? Yeah, it definitely shows in this game.
Yeah, on top of the aesthetic, the UI is very usable.
Yes.
Oh yeah, in
Incredible.
handheld mode too.
Yeah, in handheld mode, I think like when we see a bad UI, we all know it's bad, but it's can't really. Sometimes it's just bad. But when
Fire Emblem,
is it really bad? I haven't played that game yet.
It's got
tiny
arcane
text.
menus. And the text is bad. Yeah, what's kind of funny, that's a good point. I don't feel like the text in this game is huge, but I can read it.
Yeah, it's legible. Yeah,
That's weird. That's an interesting detail.
There's just some satisfying UI elements, like when you're in the city for the first time and you are at a crosswalk and you can't cross it because it's the red screen blocks you. But when it's yellow, you can go inside of it and then you get points deducted if you're jaywalking.
Oh, right, because you're not supposed to have gone in there.
Yeah, and there's some like UI elements that appear like very quickly that tell you how to navigate the world. That's like super satisfying, and it's just like super well thought out game from a usability standpoint and from a user interface.
Yeah, and I mean with the UI as well, you can customize like pretty much every facet of the UI, which I think is really cool, especially for a game where they know it's going to be played in handheld as well. It's like, if there's anything that you think is irrelevant, you can just shut that off, or you can have it filled with as much data as you want. And then like, there's the iris mode as well. Whenever you click plus, it like kind of goes into this almost like Batman Arkham Asylum style, detective mode, right?
It is,
or whatever.
actually, that's exactly. That's a good call.
And it's like, together. And all of a sudden it's like, that's how you see enemy gauges, right? And it's like, and the great thing about it is that it's like, they work everything into the plot and the story and like the world building, right? And it's none of it is arbitrary. It all feels like it serves a purpose.
I think the game uses the plus and minus button a lot more than a lot of other games do.
For sure.
To a sometimes confusing degree.
Yeah.
Like there's two things.
I'm so used to A progressing, but plus kind of does some of that in this.
I found out that if you are in a cutscene, or minus means pause the cutscene,
right.
and plus means skip the cutscene.
Yeah,
I accidentally skipped multiple cuts. I don't want to say how many. I'm
a little bit
an
of
expert gamer.
deprogramming that has to happen in order to use the menus. But yeah, I think that kind of stuff is great, and I think it all adds to the world building.
Last sort of aesthetic kind of thing I want to mention is the music. I really like the music in this game.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's wonderful.
The first song that really I just wanted to just sit there and listen to was the training music, like, or when you go to the floor where the training is for the first time, and there's that sort of EDM with like a female vocalist or whatever. I was like, I think I'll just stand here for a little bit, and this is a good song.
I was whistling that the other day, and I didn't realize I was doing it. My girlfriend was like, "Are you whistling the Astral Chain song?" It's
like, really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's been.
It's like an EDM version of the Big Little Lies theme.
That's so funny. And that also has a very Nintendo-y element of the music changing based on what room that you're in.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's not just Nintendo at this point, but I know they helped.
I just like, that's definitely one that I can't wait for it to come out on streaming or download or whatever, because I'll just like listen to that anyway. And I'm not a huge EDM guy, but like,
no, it's good. Though.
But it's like, yeah, when you like play a game and you're hearing the songs over and over again, you get like a earworm with it. You know what I mean? And you just want to hear it all the time.
It's definitely music that will hold up outside of the game. It's almost too hard for me to pay attention to it sometimes, because especially the combat is like very like takes your focus.
Oh, see, I'm like the opposite. I like don't listen to what people are saying because I'm listening to the music. Yeah.
Should we
trying to be an expert policeman?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's my bad.
Should we dig into that combat part, because that's such a big part of the
sure.
game?
Yeah.
And it's got such a unique thing with the. So I mean, if you haven't been paying attention to this game, you've got a Legion, is what they're called. It's like a second playable character almost that you launch out of this thing. They're from a different dimension. I don't want to try to explain it because I don't completely understand
using
it
the Astral Chain.
But you're linked to them through the Astral Chain, and you can kind of control both of them, and it's pretty intuitive once you kind of get past the initial like, am I doing this right? No, I'm sending him out when I'm trying to bring him in or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Which is a very long period of time for me.
Same. I still struggle with it where I'm at in the game right now, but I know I'm still early. But it's like, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this after you get a little bit further too, Patrick, because like in cases like 1 and 2, like what you can do is very limited, right? And then it's like you get basically after you finish case 2, you get all these new abilities that you can do. But the interesting thing about it too is that they do all this with very limited button presses, right? Like really your main attack button is ZR.
It's the two Z triggers.
Right.
Most of the game.
Yeah, which is such a weird change to go from like God of War that I played last year, like pressing X or square for the attacks, but now I'm pressing shoulder buttons.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Based on like sending and releasing your Legion.
Yeah, for sure. And it reminds me almost of like more like first person shooter controls where that use a lot of the shoulder buttons, you know what I mean? But it also reminds me a lot of like Super Smash Brothers, right? In a way, where it's like in that game, you really only have 2 attack buttons and then you do modifiers on each of them in order to like shake things up. And that's kind of the same with like the different legions in this game. It's like, yeah, those are going to be like your 2 main things that you're doing to attack. And then you modify, or maybe you add in like R1, or I keep doing it in terms of PlayStation controllers.
ZR,
R and L in addition to like draw them back or like do the sword attack or whatever with the sword legion.
It's compared to like Bayonetta. There's not as many like fighting game button combos that you have to memorize. It's a lot like Smash in that way, in that it's a limited button palette that they use very intuitively. Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of things you can do within that, right? It feels like it.
There's lots of holding the ZL or LZ. Man, I'm not going to get this right. Button, and then also doing things like moving your character,
which you do with the right, you move the Legion with the right stick where you're holding ZL.
Yes, there's lots of when you get later in the game and you start doing chain combos, and there's a little blue flashing thing that shows up that you press ZL2, and it's technically part of you using the Legion, but it's when you're pressing ZR and doing attacks, the blue thing will show up, and you have to touch ZL no matter what your Legion is doing, and he'll come in and start doing combos.
Yeah, those are the sync combos.
Yes.
Yeah. And those sync combos are in relation to the combos that you've done right before them. So it could be like a mid-air combo or like a perfect dodge, and then you can use a sync.
Right. Yeah. Like a parry or something like that.
And you upgrade your Legion and learn new way. They unlock new sync abilities. Like you have to unlock the ability to, if you do a perfect dodge, which is a thing that's similar to Bayonetta, and that like things will slow down for a second, but you eventually unlock that a little flashing blue light will show up when you do that perfect dodge.
So, we haven't talked about the most important mechanic, when you can bathe your Legion.
I still have not looked up what that means.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They hate it.
Yeah, you can like wash them.
You point your like reticle like at the Legion and just clear junk off of it.
And they don't like it. They're like, they shift around, but then they're so happy when you take their stuff off. They do this very jovial,
it's like thrust,
pump their chest out, you know. But sometimes they're just very childish, like shying away from you. And I do it, and I don't know why I'm doing it, because it's not like they have that red stuff on them. When
it's
you
for
play
the love of the game.
Wait, you're right. There's no purpose.
I think there has to be, but I haven't looked it up.
What I read from like in game, they said that it unlocks like Legion colors that you can like customize your Legion with, but I did it and didn't unlock anything, so I don't really get what I'm supposed to be doing. I guess I gotta wash it just a bunch.
Well, they have that orders section. There's so much stuff in this game.
It really truly is.
One of them is this orders in your submenu, which you press with minus, which is again a confusing thing. But these orders are kind of like achievements, in which if you do a certain amount of things, they unlock this achievement that then when you go to the menu, you get an item or something, like
a little present,
or like a new outfit that your character can wear, or something like that.
So there's things that seem kind of arbitrary, like when you're doing on files, which are the chapters, you like are just saving people from redshift or whatever. You get your legion to help them. And you're like, you get eventually the game is keeping track of all these things and are like, oh, you did like 3 chapters later, like, okay, you've done 100 of these dudes.
Yeah, so definitely check that stuff like pretty frequently, because like if you don't, you'll just have a shit ton all at once and you have to learn everything all at once. Something I really liked about it in talking about like bathing your legion, which is like fucking ridiculous and hilarious, is this game's sense of humor is like out of this world.
We have to talk about the toilet fairy.
Yeah. There's like
funny.
There's like a moaning myrtle of this police station, basically, like for all the Potterheads. Like there's like a strange spirit that lives in the bathroom. Like the Lappy is like the mascot of the Neuron headquarters, and it's like this like southern dog. Like it's the office manager wearing this outfit.
And there's a lot of great character stuff in this game.
Yeah.
Like later on, like you find out that everyone who talks to Lappy or communicates with Lappy, I don't want to spoil anything, but everyone's very protective of Marie and her enjoyment of making people think that she's not Lappy. And so like people will address Lappy as Marie and then like cut themselves off and say, oh, sorry, I mean Lappy. And just there's a lot of insecurities about characters that you don't have to find out at all.
Yeah. It seems like there's tons of optional content in the game.
And there's all the vending machines too.
Yeah, the vending machines talk to you.
They're very passive aggressive.
Yeah, some of them are nice, and some of them are.
I was so pleasantly surprised. Vending 3 is the happy one, but vending 2 is the angry one.
Like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Vending lobotomy.
They did not use exact change.
And they're scattered throughout too on missions, right? The vending machines. You can come across different ones with different personalities.
I have to say, I don't buy items from these vending machines. It seems like I should, but you get a lot of stuff. They're just
little stat boosters, I guess you can buy.
It's a complicated game.
Well, the item stuff is interesting because a lot of the items that you pick up during missions go away at the end of the mission. So that's something I actually really like because I'm like a hoarder when it comes to like.
Me too.
I never use like the best items that I get, and this kind of forces you to use your heals and stuff like that, which just makes the game easier.
It's like you get a mega elixir. It's like, I'll use it eventually.
Yeah.
I never use it.
Yeah, but it'll just disappear if you don't use it. So it's like you might as well. I think that's a really cool mechanic that they put in.
Kind of confusing because some do last though, right? Like so, like
the ones that you buy in the infirmary or something, or in
at
the
vending machines
headquarters
and stuff.
Also, can we talk about playstyle? Because there are 3 playstyles.
Oh yeah,
sure.
There's like an easy, normal,
PT standard,
and PT standard.
Well,
which I guess means platinum standard.
I think it's maybe casual, which I found insulting, and then PT.
Yeah, casual is like normal mode.
Well, it starts on casual in that intro, and then it asks if you want to do PT standard for the following files, which is
so there are 3 levels.
There are 3 levels.
Yeah, the first one is actual casual, which is like basically it fights for you. Is that right, or is it?
No. Well, I don't think so.
I've been playing
it's
in
just
casual.
easier.
I think it's just probably the enemy AI isn't as good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You have unlimited lives, which are batteries in this game.
Yeah.
You have unlimited amount of those. But you don't get scored on missions, like a ranked on missions.
Yeah, which is why I play PT standard, basically.
Yeah, me too.
I want to get the rankings.
I want to know how good I am.
Exactly.
I want to know how much of a good boy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing about. So I was getting straight D's, and then I found out. Right. Well, welcome back. Don't need you to remind me of my college experience, but But it's all based on not how like quickly you do things, but your style, like the variety of the stuff that you do. Sometimes I feel like I ate shit and I get like an A ranking, and it's because I was flailing around being like, okay, I'm gonna turn my guy around to tighten him, and then what else should I do? Okay, I'm almost dead. I'm starting to like mash buttons, but eventually, I don't know. Did you guys? I find that certain elements of the combat are like I would say the L button stuff.
Yeah.
When you press that, every legion that you get has this L thing that you can do,
like special ability, basically.
That generally makes you stand like solitary, which is a very unenjoyable thing for me to do in these fights. And
Sure.
And like the sword, so you use the left stick to turn this like line around, and then the right stick to move the camera, and you have to align the line with the camera, and then use the L stick to turn the line in the right direction to make your dude slice via the line through like some tentacles,
right, in like a particular direction or whatever. See, that's I agree with you. I think that would have been something that would have been better use of like a gyroscope, right?
Yeah,
or like if they had used the gyro to like then like basically because what it is reminds me of is like Skyward Sword. You know what I mean? But you're just using the sticks. And I wish that there had been a little bit more of the gyro involved in that.
At least as an option.
Yeah, or at least as an option. I think that it would make it like faster, and I think that it would make it a little bit more interesting in the control scheme. And it's on the fucking Switch, and it's an exclusive.
Right. It did take me a little while intuitively because I wanted to control the slice movement, how you rotate it with the right joystick.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that would feel more natural. As well.
But the left is how you rotate it, but the right is camera.
Yes.
But because I'm stationary and not moving, my brain doesn't think that I can move the camera while I'm in that mode.
Yeah.
And it's taken me like 30, 45 minutes just to switch that off.
And like while you're thinking about that, you're getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. I do like though that the game rewards you for being creative and like trying different stuff. And like we haven't even really touched on the chain, but like the chain between you and your Legion, like you can use in a multitude of different ways. And before the game came out, I was like, that seems like it's going to be way too complicated for me, but it is pretty intuitive, and the chain is always there and you can always see it. So it like makes it relatively easy to kind of utilize that within combat. And I think it just adds to the lore as well of the game too. Like that these like legions are just like captured beasts basically. Like I think the director of the game was like, I was really inspired by Pokemon when I was making this game.
It's like a even weirder you know, if you liked capturing innocent animals and forcing them into balls,
into slavery.
Oh, this sounds like a game for me.
I mean, something else. There's just so much to talk about. We should probably wrap this up kind of soon. But I think like the whole stuff in the astral plane is really awesome. Like I love the platforming sections. Like I've heard some people have been having issues with those, but that's some of the best times I've had in this game so far.
I really thought I fell like 5 times immediately at the first platforming thing because I'm like, am I not? Eventually I kind of realized, but it didn't seem to quite land where I thought it was, you know, my character was going to land. Like,
you have to go back a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit of like space.
Well, because you like, there's like momentum kind of shoots you forward a little bit too far. So you have to kind of use that. But once I got that down, I was having a ton of fun.
That's one of the most satisfying mechanics to me is making your Legion go forward to go across the platform and pressing ZR, and it flings you to where he is.
Yeah. That's really fun.
You eventually get that. But
yeah, I think the mechanic. So there's a dodge mechanic for dodging.
Dodge is janky, by the way. I can't
see. I can dodge fine, but I can't do the perfect Legion call, which is the Legion equivalent of the dodge.
Right. Where you like summon him at just the right moment.
Right, just the right moment, and then that's when you do like the 6 or 7 hit combo that does the most damage.
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that.
Like either. I can't get that timing down. It doesn't feel natural like the dodge does.
We just got to get good.
Well, they're introducing the whole like moving a character, like staying still and moving a character around with the control stick is like not a thing I've ever played in a platinum style action game.
And that kind of adds to some of the pacing differences between their older games, right? It's like you have to be more patient, and I feel like it's almost like the difference between like Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like one is a very kinetic game, it's all about movement and speed, and the other one is more like, hey, maybe be patient every once in a while, don't just run forward or you'll fucking die, you know? And I think it's like that's some of that Nintendo feel that comes into it as well.
It reminds me of Nier Automata, and I felt like the action is fun, but there's something like always slightly unintuitive about the controls, or that there's just so much to keep track of.
Right.
And
it's very new to be controlling 2 people at once with 2 sticks. There aren't a lot of games where you do that.
There is a learning other than like Brothers 2 Souls or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I think that like there's a learning curve, but it's like learning it has actually been very fun for me. You know what I mean? And I was afraid that I would just like drop it, but I'm way into it.
Have you tried the co-op?
No.
Yet? Neither have I.
That sounds like a nightmare.
I hear it's garbage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like the second player controls the camera.
They control the Legion.
Yeah. But they also control the camera.
They do?
Yeah. I think because of how they move. And it's like when you're controlling the Legion, even in single player, you can't really move the camera because you're using the right stick.
Well, and then if you go in the options, there's multiple different camera additions, like have the camera follow the character the bad guy that you're hitting,
right?
Or have a fixed camera, which I still don't understand.
It just makes it Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah. Well, and I'm definitely sometimes getting totally lost as to what's happening on screen.
Yeah, me too.
It could be better maybe, but it does seem like they're experimenting and being successful, but that there's definitely room for it. Like a more streamlined
for sure. And I think all like negatives aside, like this game like should be fucking celebrated for trying like so many new things. Like this game feels so fresh, and it's like, and you had this in the notes, Patrick, but like it topped the UK sales charts when it came out. Like it's doing well, and people are like,
which I think is uncommon for Platinum games from what I read.
Yeah. And this is what, like the 6th, I think, Switch exclusive to top the UK sales charts or something like that.
That's great.
But it's like, I think that we're going to be seeing more Astral Chain games. And I think this is the first of a new franchise, essentially.
Yeah, if it sells well, they said they wanted to do more.
Yeah, and I think it will sell well. I think like if it topped UK, like it's going to be doing well here. Like Platinum games are really big in the West, and they are in Japan as well. So I feel like it's a lock. And I think it's just like this shows that like we don't need every game to be a sequel, a remake, or a remaster, or a port. You know what I mean? It's like new games do well, and there is a hunger with consumers for new properties, and especially when
done well.
Yeah, when they're done well, and clearly a bunch of love.
EDM music.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this game is just like dripping with style and love and care, and it's like, and it's just been a really long time since I've played a new IP that feels like that. You know what I mean? I think that game should really be celebrated for that.
I think the next Astral Chain should be you should be played as a bounty hunter.
And it's mostly on motorcycles.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Also, I feel like only after the game came out did I realize the sort of like pun of Astral Chain and Astral Plane. And
I
was like, duh.
Yeah. One last thing before we end. It just reminds me a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if it does for anybody else. It's like I think the legions are like just mini Evas. Yeah. And they're like made from alien technology. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like there's so much, and I feel like there are more references than that in this game that I've kind of forgotten.
And not to spoil anything, but I don't know if y'all have any inkling that maybe there's something suspicious about this neuron place.
No, I mean, it reminds me of Nerve Headquarters. Right?
It's the same name, and they're like, oh, you have a much better link with your Legion than any person we've ever met.
Exactly. And so, as an Evangelion fan, that's exciting for me in and of itself.
You're an 18-year-old boy that we're going to make die, possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Yeah, and like your dad, isn't it?
Your dad, well...
your twin.
And it has a pretty decent story. I think it's funny to imagine they haven't really addressed whether like everyone's on the arc because of the chimeras or because we just really fucked up.
Yeah, because like mankind.
I was kind of
and then the chimeras were like, oh well, dead. They're like vultures.
I hope that's something that they address later in the game. Yeah, because it's. Yeah, the world itself is like very interesting to me, and from an aesthetic standpoint and a plot standpoint. So, yeah, I'm really excited to play more.
Cool. Well, we've all been playing lots of Astral Chain, but we've maybe been playing some other games.
Well, let's move on to the next segment.
Yes.
That's where I put in the song.
That's where the music is.
We're taking a break there too.
Yeah. That's okay. We'll just roll through it.
All right, so
we're back already. Patrick.
Welcome back.
I've already done the editing in my head.
What segment are we in, Patrick?
We're going to talk about what games we've been playing other than Astral Chain recently. I feel like I have some interesting things to say, but should I go first? Or
Go for it, man.
Go for it.
You're raring to go.
I'm raring to go. So I've been playing lots of Fire Emblem, but I won't talk about that. We're going to have a new optimal pairing episode. If you want to hear me rant about that for an hour and a half, you can. Check that out on Saturday. But I've been playing Mario Maker, and I discovered this thing on the Mario Maker subreddit called Chopped Challenge. There's this streamer, Alien Toy Ship, who every week puts out like 4 elements in a style you have to use. and then everybody makes levels, and you like play. He kind of puts some people together, and you play each other's levels, and he streams a bunch of the levels. So I cranked out a level for that, and I played a bunch of people's levels. I really enjoyed that. So shout out to that happening if that excites you, and I'm going to do the next one too. And then my cousin came over and we played some Smash, and I feel like this is a great story. We were playing, doubles online, he and I against random strangers on the internet, and we were drinking, and so we were doing okay.
Yeah.
And I pretty much exclusively play as Piranha Plant, and he's playing as Bowser, and we come up against a Ridley and a Jigglypuff, and I don't know if anything strikes you about this combo, but
adorable combos.
So we play the match, and I'm like, I feel like we can beat them. For some reason, my cousin's not playing very well. He gets beaten, and I'm holding out like me against just them, and Jigglypuff is just spamming, trying to put you to sleep. And eventually, they corner me, and he puts me to sleep, and then Ridley does his stinger.
Right.
And he keeps spamming sleep stinger, and it's like we're sitting there, me and him is like, this is what they wanted to do the whole time. Oh my God, this is some sick fetish. And they sat there and just did that to me over and over and over for an excruciating until the time ran out.
Really?
Or then they killed me, and it's like, we've got to beat them. We can beat them. So next matchup, we beat them. Great. And then we're celebrating. Yeah, and we accidentally hit A and rematch them. I'm like, well, we got to do it again.
Yeah.
We got to. We hit rematch.
This is thrilling. Keep going.
And then they succeeded in eliminating Bowser again, and then fucking the shit out of me with Ridley's stinger for an uncomfortably long 4 minutes.
Oh
and I was like, should I disconnect this? You know what I mean?
You gotta see it through.
And not let them have the satisfaction. But no, we saw it through. And it was like, do not rematch.
I'm really sorry that happened to you, Patrick. If you ever need anybody to talk to, you just let me know.
It's really weird, like, because Ridley's stinger really does look and feel like a sexual fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like Jigglypuff's just putting you to sleep.
Quaaluding.
And
Quaalude.
It felt like violating a little bit. It's like, this is some weird fetish these people have.
Oh my God, that's so dark.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, I'm sorry you went through that.
They found a really disturbing combo in Smash Ultimate.
Highly effective, too, as most disturbing
because they could
combos.
time it. Like I couldn't break out of it. They were, like the first time they did it, I broke out of it a couple times, but the second time is like they got their timing down. Like I can't do anything,
and it's no fun. It's like they know it's no fun. Right?
Oh, they're having fun.
They're
having fun, like doing the same thing over and over.
Some people just want to watch the Jigglypuff.
The world burn.
Anyway, that's what I've been doing. I just had to tell you all that story.
I've obviously been playing Astral Chain.
Yeah.
I put in probably more hours into training than I have into the story.
Yeah, sure.
Because of that sweet music.
Because Patrick, your face when you said that. I'll never.
We got to
forget
do a
that
video
face.
podcast.
Yeah, it's so good. Also been playing Lethal League Blaze.
Yeah, hell yeah.
David, thank you for introducing me.
No problem.
Because my buddy who's visiting from Seattle, we played Windjammers a shit ton growing up. And Lethal League Blaze feels like a game that's similar to Windjammers. So Lethal League Blaze is so satisfying and so intense when you have the buildup of like the large ball hit. I don't know what you fucking call it.
It's like a baseball or something.
Yeah. And so it's like this intense hit, and after this intense hit, and then it zooms in and it goes faster. It's like Super Saiyan.
Yeah, they like hit stun on that game is like what that game is really known for. You know what I mean? And just like kind of freezing the game and just like the anticipation of like, where's this ball gonna fly? It's super fun.
It's super great. That's what I've been playing.
Nice. I last night, last night purchased Final Fantasy VIII Remaster.
That just came out?
Yeah, it just came out last night at 11 a.m.
Oh, wow, you were
11
on top
p.m.
of it.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed by the Final Fantasy IX one.
Oh, really? See, I actually, that's the first Final Fantasy game I've ever actually played through to completion.
Really?
Was the re-release. And I really enjoyed it. I obviously not very far. It just came out last night. But it's looking great. It's $20 right now, which is not a huge price for a game that I never thought would come out. I thought this game was like lost to time.
Is
basically,
that how much 7 and 9? And...
No, it's a little bit more. I think 7 was like 14, and then 9 was like 18.
Okay,
and then this is 20. But they gave it the whole remaster treatment. Basically, they like had to go through and kind of rebuild the whole game, which is why I think it's a little bit more. And it's the first time it's been re-released since the PS1 days. So that's kind of cool. This is the one Final Fantasy I've pretty much never played, so I'm looking forward to putting some time into it. And then also another little game I bought was a game that was 74 cents. It was like 90% off or whatever on the eShop. It's called Defunct. I haven't gotten too far into it, but I've been really enjoying the gameplay so far. Apparently, the game only takes like 2 to 3 hours to beat, so like your mileage may vary, but I mean it's only 75 cents.
That's a good price for a 2 hour
Yeah,
game.
yeah, exactly. And it reminds me a lot of this game on N64 that I used to play called Rocket Robot on Wheels. So did you guys ever play
Dude,
that game?
I just played Rocket this weekend.
Really? For the N64 game?
Yeah, that's by Sucker Punch.
Yeah, it's a Sucker Punch game.
Yeah.
So this game, the gameplay wise, isn't necessarily exactly like it. But you do play a robot that is on one wheel, and you like roll around, and basically kind of the whole gameplay element of this game is that you're going around these like hilly landscapes, and whenever you're going downhill, you press ZR, which like increases your gravity. So whenever you're going downhill, you press the button, then you get a shit ton of momentum, right? And you're just moving really, really fast. And then you like go up hills and you do these like jumps off hills. And then you want to like land on a downhill and then go really fast down that. And it's kind of like, eventually it's like an exploring sort of game where you're going around these large areas and trying to find all these little collectibles. And, and I just played a ton of Rocket when I was growing up. And it really reminded me of that. And I picked it up and I've been having a great time. So I think it's still on sale. So if you want to put in a couple hours into a really fun, like movement and speed based game, I would really recommend Defunct. What about you, Leif?
Well, on the Switch, I've been playing the Messenger DLC.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys played that game?
That one totally missed me.
But isn't the DLC seems like out of place almost? Like it's in it like a summer picnic.
Yeah, it's a tropical. Like I think it came out in July, and it's like a summer themed DLC. You go, it's like a parallel dimension that you jump into.
Does it feel out of place in the game, or does the game have that kind of campy?
The game is very it's very self-aware and jokey, and they're like, by the way, so you download the DLC, and there's this like hub room that you go to, and there's this little like vortex in a closet that the whole game, when you initially play it, you're like, the guy will tell you, oh, there's nothing to see there. And then you download the DLC and they're like, oh, if you go in here, you'll go to a parallel dimension. And by the way, you have to, because there's something going on in the parallel dimension that's going to destroy all the dimensions. But so it's, if you haven't played The Messenger, it's a really wonderful game. Has really tight controls. It has incredible aesthetic. Now, if you know anything about it, you're like switching between 8-bit and 16-bit styles through portals in the game, and they go from the music, which is very good. They have 8-bit versions of the songs that will seamlessly transition to 16-bit, which in this game they're doing based on the Genesis style with the FM sound chip. It's very recognizable, but I almost thought the game was too jokey at first, but it's very well written, and I think it's just for PC and Switch, so it's a great Switch exclusive.
Yeah, it's been one that I've been wanting to pick up for a very long time.
I was playing Dragon Quest XI for a while until Astral Chain derailed that entirely. The other game I played recently is the Dark Pictures anthology Man of Medan.
Okay, right. Yeah, you brought that up at the beginning.
Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Did you ever play the game Until Dawn for the PS4?
No, I did not.
That's like a interactive horror game.
It's an interactive horror game, and my girlfriend and I were nuts for this game. It's like it's a game where like 7 teenagers go into a house, and it's like the Detroit Become Human kind of thing.
Okay,
where
right.
You talk to people, and there's like 3 different. There's the be an asshole choice, dialogue choice, or the be supportive, and it's by Supermassive Games that does. They specialize in these branching story games. There's also quick time events, but so they're doing apparently this 8-game anthology where it's going to be like Tales of the Crypt in the video game genre, where they're playing they're like 4-hour games that it's the same style, ultra realistic graphics. They get like Iceman from the X-Men movies.
Oh, okay. The dude who played Jake in the Animorphs TV show?
Yes. Yeah. The better pull.
Yeah.
Until Dawn has Rami Malek in pre-fame as one of the main
cool.
characters.
Yeah.
They're all very dead-eyed and Uncanny Valley, which is kind of enjoyable. But it's a very janky game. But I've been in. It seems like the polish isn't there. I think Until Dawn was a PS4 exclusive, and this one is like. Okay, they're making a multi-platform, and they're making 8 of them.
Yeah,
so that seems pretty over ambitious.
Yeah, it's very ambitious. It reminds me of when Sufjan Stevens was like, "I'm going to make an album for every state."
Yeah, or like George R. R. Martin.
Yeah. I will finish a book series.
Rothfuss, yeah.
But so that's, and I was playing Tetris Effect, which is
hell yeah.
Probably the perennial favorite in my household. But
it's Tetris 99 in my house.
Yeah, but that's about it. I started too many games.
You're talking to David here.
That's the story of my life, dude, as well. Well, hell yeah. Those are some good games. Check out some of those games if any of those sound interesting to you, because they're all fun.
Yeah.
Except for Man of Medan. It's like you're moving through like very like frozen molasses.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
It's the best kind of molasses.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, I think that about does it for this week.
I felt pretty good. You feel good about that, Leif?
Oh, it was a pleasure talking to y'all.
Well, thanks for being here.
The anxiety went away about maybe like 7 minutes in, which was pretty good.
That's what we're aiming for. We're trying to get it under 5.
So thanks to Corduroy for doing our music.
Can I plug a Space Angel Hug? I make music.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
We're about to do handles. Go for it.
Well, you could go to my Instagram at Mucho Cabluando, which are pictures of like artful pictures of things that I like string on the ground and stuff like that.
Cool.
Which it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Dude, I love me some strings on the ground.
Well, there's art everywhere. It's my motto.
Satisfying.
Yeah. Well, you can. My main thing is Space Angel Hug. I make music. You can find it on Bandcamp and SoundCloud.
That is Space Angel Hug.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I play a lot at the Volstead at Niemer Mo, which is a wonderful series that y'all should definitely. It's a local experimental music. I do like, it's sort of like jazz, psychedelic. It's improv. I play piano. Cool. It's I'm very proud of it, but it's not for everyone, as I've learned. But y'all should definitely go check out Niemer Mo.
As
really
someone
great.
who listens. I listen to a lot of Vaporwave and Mallsoft.
I love Vaporwave.
It sounds right up my
alley. I'm doing
alley.
lots of deadpan, like vocal samples and stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we all got to go out sometime.
This is in Austin, Texas. If you're not listening, but
I'm going to try to play a show in October for Halloween sample time.
Oh yeah,
spooky.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a good time. Other than that, you can find me online at Monolith Fiji.
You can find me on Twitter, Matthew MATHYOU.
Sorry to cut you off there. I am PDYX. You did that.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to cut you off.
You did say MATHY. Oh,
you did it slow. Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Tell a friend.
Yeah. Tell a friend.
to
Rate
us.
us 5 on iTunes. 5 stars. That's the best amount of stars.
Yeah,
and that's what
give
we're
us all
going
those
for.
Hack into it, give us 6.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, hack into it. Yeah, you know what? Fuck the system. That's what
Hack
we say.
into the mainframe.
Hope you enjoy the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's
exactly.
what we'll be talking about.
Yeah, we're hoping to do some sort of reaction to the Direct whenever it comes out. We'll be talking about that next week in depth.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Visit us online at Super Switch Headz at Facebook and Instagram, at Switch Headz on Twitter. Oh, we got that website, Super Switch Headz. It's on its way. It's on its way, baby. It's under construction.
Or you can just go to superswitchheads.com right now, and it takes you to our Facebook page.
Yeah. We'll get it all sorted out eventually. We're about to be fucking legit. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great time with the Direct. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.